Gen AI darling OpenAI officially unveiling their plans to change the company's structure. But it may not be as easy as they hope. Kate Rooney has the latest for us in today's Tech Check segment. Kate.
Hi, Sarah. Yeah, so this is the first time OpenAI has laid out these plans, confirming what we have reported. OpenAI is becoming, or its for-profit arm, rather, is going to become a public benefit corporation. But this transition has been anything but smooth so far. It does highlight an increasingly competitive landscape for OpenAI compared to when it was founded about a decade ago. PBCs, as they're also known, have become the corporate structure du jour right now for AI startups. They are essentially the same as any for-profit business, but with a dual mandate. They've got the money-making fiduciary duty on one side with this publicly stated mission they need to have. You got Ben & Jerry's, Patagonia. Those are the really well-known examples, plus xAI and Anthropic. OpenAI acknowledging a cash crunch behind this decision, saying, quote, "We once again need to raise more capital than we'd imagined, and that in part investors need conventional equity and less structural bespokeness." That bespoke structure has been a headache at times for OpenAI. That was really on display when CEO Sam Altman was ousted by the nonprofit board about a year ago. And it can be confusing, guys. It does involve a capped profit company that's controlled by the nonprofit, which will still exist. It's going to pursue charitable initiatives. And this wasn't a setup that investors love, as you can imagine. Those I'm talking to are relieved about the pivot. They say it makes it a lot easier for this company to go public at some point. I am told the IPO is not going to happen anytime soon. OpenAI is deeply unprofitable. We did confirm earlier in the year they're expecting to lose about $5 billion on $3.7 billion in revenue this year. And it's been able to raise billions of dollars in private markets. It's had no problem bringing in equity, or selling equity, rather, to SoftBank and other private investors. It's got a lot more competition now, though, from the likes of Google. You've got Meta and, of course, Elon Musk. Musk is an OpenAI co-founder. He started a rival firm and is suing to block OpenAI from making this for-profit pivot. He's described it as a total scam at a certain point. Here's Sam Altman's response recently on Barry Weiss's Honestly podcast.
He's just a sort of legendary entrepreneur. He's also clearly a bully, and he's also someone who clearly likes to get in fights. You know, right now it's me. It's been Bezos, Gates, Zuckerberg, lots of other people. And I think fundamentally this is about OpenAI is doing really well.
OpenAI is fighting in court, coming out with evidence that Elon pushed for this for-profit transition before he left the company. And it is not just Elon Musk. Meta is now taking sides, sending a letter to the California AG saying the transition sets a, quote, dangerous precedent of allowing startups to reap the benefits of being a nonprofit and having that status until they're poised to become profitable, guys.
I have a question, not necessarily about the structure, but more about what it says about the culture and the mission. When I hear nonprofit, I think charity or altruistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's what some were wondering about the change and sort of whether it changes the mission and how much we can trust these companies.
Those are all great questions, Sarah. And I would say it has evolved really from a decade ago. You had these deep tech researchers who joined this company to do a certain thing. They really wanted to focus on building AI. It has now really been built and shifted much more in the image of a for-profit capitalistic company run by Sam Altman. And the folks that he's hired have been, big Wall Street names. Sarah Fryer, for example, the CFO. They have brought in a lot more sort of traditional Wall Street folks, moved away from the deep researcher. They still need that to compete. And that's actually been one of the headwinds, is that they've lost some top talent over the years. But I would say the shift has happened over the past few years here, where it's looking a lot more like a traditional for-profit company. But that is one reason they're going with a public benefit corp instead of just saying, hey, we're a for-profit, because they do still have the mission, which I'll paraphrase, but it's something like creating artificial general intelligence for the benefit of humanity, which has been sort of their tagline from the beginning. But I think you're right, where there's a lot of people in Silicon Valley, at least on the research side, who might not trust the motives here, might not trust the transition. I would say there's plenty of people in that camp at this point.